Thank you very much, Nico. Well, I hope you can hear me. Thank you very much for coming today. I will try to pass you on some of the thoughts that went on during the design process of our examples of products you saw probably already downstairs. It was exactly almost 2 years, it was exactly 2 years ago when I first had my first contact with the elevator business, because before most of my career I've been working in the automotive business, when I was approached by the KLEEMANN people, actually the Kukunzos family, and we came here and we had the opportunity to see together the lift exhibition here in Augsburg. And for me also it was a very interesting experience, so I got a very good idea of what the industry is all about. And at the same time we started the collaboration, the design collaboration, which basically was with very, very precise objectives. It was to further the KLEEMANN product identity. It was also to strengthen the KLEEMANN brand as a brand, and at the same time create a unique series of products that will make probably a breakthrough in the industry. And to be honest with you, I kind of imagine after seeing the products that were in the market that there was such a possibility. I felt that there was the possibility to create something fresh for this industry, and maybe the time was right to do so. So we embarked into this process, which is a rather complicated process. It involves a lot of things. It is not such a linear process at the end, because it involves a number of factors, a number of issues. Of course, it involves engineering, so it's design coming together with engineering, coming together with the client expectations. Everything has to work together in order to come up finally with the products, to construct what I write over there, construct the truly new and better for the customer product. And actually the customer expectation was always in our view and in my view as a designer, and the engineers that were working together from the KLEEMANN part as well. And of course, probably the most important thing of all was to try to find maybe the essence of the elevator. Of course, you live with elevators, you know them much better than I do. But what I found unique about the elevator is that it's a very special space, interior space. It's the only interior space that gives you a very, very strong experience in a building. Why? Because it moves. It's the only part of the building that moves. Everything else is static. It's almost, one can say, it's almost like a car. In a certain sense. It requires technology, has a technical aspect, it requires ergonomics, it requires normatives, it has normatives, many more than any other room. It has safety requirements as well. So in a way, one can say that these are, let's say, the hardware of this product, of the essence of this product. And at the same time, there is something that maybe we can call the software. You all know about it in a certain sense. Let's talk about it. It's maybe the aesthetic value of this object. It is the experience the person feels when gets inside, which has to do with the colors, has to do with the materials, and overall the sense of the space that one receives, one enters this very, very crowded space where you're so close to the walls, so to speak. A normal room is much larger. This is much smaller, and it moves at the same time. So it's a different sensation. And shall we call that maybe this is the software of the product? And somehow the person what enters there has to get a satisfaction. I mean, let's not forget that at the end of the day, this is the end, let's say, objective of this operation. let's say another thing to consider about this product, that it has, there's three main positions, three main relationship positions that a person has, a user has with the elevator. And this also makes it rather unique. It's very, very close to a car for that. You can see an elevator from a certain distance. You can see it from maybe 3 to 5 meters. There you will notice, for example, its proportions. You will notice its main lines. You also have a second situation where you're a little bit closer to it. Maybe you're 1 meter to it. And then, of course, the third position is where you see another set of things. You don't necessarily see the overall proportions anymore because you're very close. But now you can start seeing the main materials. You can start having a perception of the quality of it. And then you have a third layer of relationship, which is when maybe you enter or when you touch it. And this is very, very similar to a car, which is very, very different from this, for example. With this, you don't have the first situation. You don't have the situation where it is very, very important what this looks like from 3 or 5 meters away, because 3 or 5 meters away, basically, you're not going to see much. You have probably the second and mostly the third relationship, which is very important. On an elevator, you have all of these three. So the line. The line, we feel it is something that gives the product an identity. It is something you can distinguish it not as a brand, you can distinguish it as being a KLEEMANN product, and at the same time you can also distinguish it very well as being an elevator, and not as being maybe a service door, which in some cases many elevators, if you ask me personally, have this problem. So the line, for example, gives us this possibility. Another issue to resolve a little bit was the fact that somehow it kind of reminds me of the old cars where you could only use very limited production, let's say, rather economical and very limited production possibilities. All early cars were very, very square. I mean, this is the 4T. Because you can only take sheet metal, bend it, and that's it, out the door. But somehow, you know, the people and the clients have evolved for that, and they require maybe something else, something that is maybe gives you another set of forms. And today's cars are an obvious example of that. We all like that. We all like to live with forms that maybe come a little bit closer to us. You know, we are a little bit like this formed. So the challenge here was also to give a choice of form as well, and a choice of sensation, because so far the elevators are all these boxes, and you will play only with the materials. You will play with the wood and the inox, but you will basically have always the same box. Basically, you have a certain area of sensations. So this is the next step where we start looking at this box. Maybe at the beginning we round it off a little bit to take off the edges, and let's see what kind of a sensation that gives us. And here we have, for example, the creation of the 500 series where everything is enclosed. We have with a radius on the top and on the bottom, and we have a sensation almost of a magic cloud of color. Maybe when you're inside, you have this very, very strong feeling, which is rather different from anything else so far. Another area we looked also was by curving the sidewalls. You could see, for example, something like that. This is the relationship between the sidewalls and the person. Actually, most of the space we need is usually around the area. We don't necessarily need